Here is my 10-part list of the buyer's process. First, find a realtor. The first thing, no matter if you're buying or selling, is to hire a great real estate agent, like me. You go through the process and see what they've sold, check their reviews, check their referrals. And with all of that being said, you don't want to just hire someone because you like that person. You want to hire a professional, just like when you hire a lawyer, a doctor. You hire them because you know that they're going to meet your needs and they're going to look out for your best interests. I'm glad that you don't know how complicated this is, because if you did, then I wouldn't be doing my job. The first thing after you get the real estate agent, you got to get a lender. And so now you got to shop those lenders. Well, if you have a good agent, hopefully they'll refer you to some really good lenders. And then together, you'll get the best rate and the transaction will be a lot less stressful. And you might get a gift still. Maybe two. So what if I told you you could move into your new home without selling your old home and only have one mortgage payment? If you're interested, call me. So now we have a real estate agent, then we have the lender, so now we have to find your home. So that's when the wish list comes in. So you're gonna tell your agent, you know what, I have to have this, my husband wants this, but we know that the wife's really what's important. So just put the husband stuff on the back burner. I'm just joking. No, but it is finding a home. So when you are sitting down with an agent, tell them what's important to you, but remember you can't have everything because a house is really not gonna hit everything that you want. So put 1, 2, 3, this was a must-have, 4, 5, 6, this is, I would like to have that pool, but not necessary. Now we found the home, so the next part is we have a contract. And there's a lot of things in a contract. Again, this is where it's important that you're being represented to present the best offer. So on the contract, you want to make sure that you're putting the most money down that you can, that the appraisal is going to come in at value, that you're going to have inspections done, and then you're also going to have your loan approval, and then you're going to have a closing date. And so all those have to be done in the order, and they have to be done in that time frame in order to protect your binder so that you don't lose your money, but also you get to the closing table. Wow, that was a lot, right? The first thing in a contract is your inspection period. That's when you're going to do all of the home inspections. If you want to do a wood destroying organism inspection, if you want to do air quality, if you want to do lead base, if you want a roofer to come look at it, if you need a pool inspection. So all those need to be set up, and when you have an agent that's there to help you get those set up and make sure that they're there, it's going to make the process so much easier, and all you have to do is sit back and wait for the report to come in, sit down with your agent and go over, hey, these need to be addressed, these are minor, what do we really want the seller to take care of for us to move forwards? And that's why you have to have someone who is experienced to help that process go smoothly, because it can be very stressful. Like me. Of course, have a wood destroying organism inspection. A WDO inspection, which is a wood destroying organism inspection, is also required for certain loans, so you might have to have that scheduled as well during your inspection period time. Okay, now the appraisal. The most important, especially going on now, is the appraisal. If the lender comes in and says, with the comparable sales, your house is only really worth $600,000, so the bank is going to only lend $600,000, but you offer to pay the seller $630,000. So now we have a $30,000 gap. Who's going to pay for that? It's either going to be the buyer or the seller, or you're going to compromise, or you can walk away. So the appraisal is extremely important. And having an agent who's going to be there in case the appraiser has any questions, because at the end of the day, the buyer wants to buy the house and the seller wants to sell the house, and they already agreed to the price. So hopefully it's priced well and everyone can move on and we can get to the next hurdle. Wrap it up to get your loan approval. So after we have the appraisal, it will go back into underwriting, because now you need to get your loan approval, which is typically 25 to 30 days you have to get loan approval. Again, this is an important date because if you don't meet this, that's a good way for you to lose your binder, and no one wants to lose money. So staying up on top of the lender and getting it through is important. Recently, I had a buyer and the appraisal wasn't back. And so if we don't have appraisal, we can't get it through final underwriting to get the loan approval. So I advised them, hey, we need to extend this out now because I don't want you to lose your binder. One of their concerns was, well, do we have to move closing? And I said, well, we don't probably have to move the closing date, but I'm trying to protect your binder. And in order to do that, we need to move your loan approval. And hopefully we do get it tomorrow. But if we don't, you'll be protected because that's why you have me. And so, just because loan approval has to be moved doesn't mean that you have to always move the closing. It's just, you want to have an agent to protect your binder so you don't lose money. Next, the final walkthrough before closing day. After we got loan approval, we're getting ready to close. The next step is going to be your final walkthrough. If all the repairs were done, if you didn't already look at them before, make sure the repairs were done. All the doors open and closed, the windows. I always turn the hot water on, the cold water. I flush all the toilets, I turn all the lights on. I run the dishwasher, I turn on the stove, the microwave. I kind of just do like this, hey, let's make sure everything works today. In that maybe they, hopefully they didn't leave trash. The house is clean, or if they were supposed to leave a mirror and they took the mirror. Those are the things you're looking for. It typically, hopefully everyone's stayed on their track of what they're supposed to do, and it takes you about 20 minutes to get through. But people have stayed there for an hour because they want to take measurements and stuff like that. But it's kind of oh, I can't wait till tomorrow, it's closing day, I'm moving in, the movers are scheduled. If you have to agree on anything that's not done, it'll help avoid changing your closing time, maybe ruining your locked-in interest rate. So it's really good to go through the final walkthrough to make sure everything's good so you don't get to closing and there's an issue. And finally, closing day. When you're at the closing table, it can go both ways. It can be a little stressful still for the buyer because they're like, wow, this process, all the paperwork the lender wanted, we're finally here. So that's why having me there is really beneficial because I'm there to ease your mind, make you laugh, make sure everything looks good, and that when we leave, we give big hugs, I give you a gift, you go on your way, and I ask when happy hours at the house. Most people like to have an agent there because even though they may have bought a house before, they just like to know that you're there in case they have questions. What if the lender said something and they're like, well, I thought it meant this. It's just there in case you're there in case they have questions. The closing is more than just signatures. I'm checking to make sure all the documents are in order and that, it goes smoothly and we get funded and you can get the keys and go home. And you get your gift. Maybe two.